So let's categorize people into two broad groups. We have people that set goals, the goal setters, people that like to have a defined goal. They move towards that goal, they achieve it, and then they'd like to set another goal and move through life that way, constantly going from goal to goal to goal. Then we have another group who we might call free spirits, people that don't set defined goals. They move through life based on intuition, feelings, a desire to learn new skills, and they kind of meander through life as opportunities open up in front of them. And of course, neither category is right or wrong, but we normally find that we will fit into one or the other. I generally work with goal setters, the first group, people that have a defined goal. And what I'll do today is part of talking about New Year's resolutions and how we might set these and achieve them. I'll show you the approach that I'll take when a client comes and wants help setting a goal and then moving on to achieve it, which is essentially what I do in my coaching practice. So one of the things we'll do in the first session is I'll ask the client what is the goal they have. Do they have a defined goal? And I'll ask them to give me that goal as a clear, concise statement. Now, sometimes what I'll get is 5 minutes of vague conversation. The person has a lot of ideas about the goal, and that's great, but as yet, there's not a very concise, clear description, if you like, of where they want to go, what they want to achieve. So one of the first things we'll do is try and clarify the goal. And the second thing that we'll do, maybe at the same time, is to lift the goal. And by lifting the goal, I'll talk to them about optimizing or trying to lift that goal to be the highest goal that they believe is reasonably possible for them. And you might ask, why would you do that? Why is it up to me to impose my will or my change on a client's goal? And that's a fair question. There's a few answers to that. Firstly, a lot of us will constrain ourselves with practicalities that can easily be mitigated or removed. And I think it's part of my job as a high performance coach to help open people's eyes as to what is really possible for them and to help them strive for the highest possible place that they can. The second reason is that by setting a goal, a very lofty goal, we will have to work very, very hard to achieve it. And that in itself gives the client benefit because, there's a saying that we shouldn't set goals based on what we're going to get after achieving the goal, but based on who achieving that goal will make of us. So the fact that it is going to be a very difficult journey will help define who we become and give us a further depth of character and give us further strength, which is all part of our journey of growth. So two basic areas. We'll look to lift the goal to the highest possible level, and we'll look to clarify it so it can be described in a very short statement, maybe 1 or 2 sentences. When we're lifting the goal, one of the things that I'll ask the client to do, if it's a 5 to 10 year kind of medium-term goal, is to describe what their ideal average day would look like in the future. And this helps them to clarify what they want in their life, what kind of balance they want, how much time they want with family and friends versus walking in nature versus working at the goal, what kind of freedom they'd like to have, what budget, what compensation, what money they need to have in their life to make them free to do something or free from something. So describing your ideal average day is a great way to start. When they come back at me with what their ideal average day is, I listen for certain words. And one of the things that I'm listening for are words of mediocrity. So if they say it'd be great if this happened or this would be really nice, that's not good enough. What I want them to describe is their exceptional, highest possible average day that they can imagine. I want them to describe and strive for an exceptional life. One of the things that will follow from this is a question, which is, how much are you prepared to sacrifice to get this? And although it might be nice to strive for the highest possible goal, it may be impractical because what they would have to give up would be to the detriment of their overall family situation. For example, they may have to give up too much time and therefore would miss a lot of time spent with their wife and their children. Or a woman might have a very, very lofty professional goal, and I will help her clarify exactly what that is, but then she'll also tell me that she would like to have children and grow a family. And the sacrifice overall to achieve that goal may need to mean that that goal needs to be tempered somewhat. So these are all things that will need to be looked at. If you have someone that has very few constraints in their life, then for sure I will be pushing them to set the highest possible goal, the highest ideal that they can come up with. And as a high performance coach, I'm an absolute believer that all of us have virtually infinite potential. That if we can visualize us doing something, if I can visualize myself doing something in 5 years, then for sure it is possible, because our mind seems to have a natural filter, and it will filter out things, and it will not present things to us to daydream about that are not possible. But if you're contemplating something, if you can picture yourself doing something, then for sure it is within your capability, provided you're prepared to go through the process that we'll talk about in later videos to achieve it, as long as you're willing to put the work in. So lifting the goal and clarifying it. What we'd like by clarifying the goal is a clear statement. And the reason we want a clear statement is that we're going to need to contemplate this goal, this precise destination, over and over and over again through the months and the years that it takes to eventually reach the top of that particular mountain, whatever it may be. Having a precise destination gives us focus and it gives us energy. As I've said before, when I'm currently in Chicago, sitting up in the middle of the night local time, talking to you, but when I left Hong Kong 2 days ago to fly to Chicago, I did not aim to land somewhere in North America. As soon as I stepped on board that aeroplane in Hong Kong and started preparing that A350, everything was focused on arriving at the precise terminal in Chicago 14 hours later. We knew precisely where we were going, and that gives us focus through the journey to come back on course and redirect our efforts to hit that precise location. So having a precise goal is important if you are a goal-setting type of person. So in a previous video, I also talked about the way we achieve goals is to firstly define it, and then we want to see it, we want to act, and we want to feel. So we'll talk a little bit more about the seeing, the acting, and the feeling over the next couple of weeks. But for now, that's how I would approach defining the goal with a coaching client of mine, and maybe something in that will help you with your New Year's resolutions or your own 5-year plan.